Every time I hear that British lady, I think like the world's going to end, like the nuclear countdown has started.
Hello and welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Computer America Show. We had a slight schedule change. Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine, is here with us tonight, and we're doing a little behind the scenes, so you can listen in. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes. There you go. So you were saying about neutering a dog.
I was say parental guidance is suggested for all you animal lovers out there.
Exactly.
No, it's a good idea if you have a pet and you're not reckless to spay, neuter, or otherwise, defang them to an extent. But I don't recommend declawing cats because that's just cruel.
Agreed.
It's like pulling their nails out. That's awful.
Yep, it's not a good procedure, and cats are built with claws in mind.
Yeah.
Until showtime.
It's like a Chinese torture for cats.
If you have a cat, put up with getting clawed. It's part of the process. If you don't want to get clawed, get a gerbil.
See, I think people, they do it to keep their furniture intact, but it's just one of the things that comes with cat ownership.
Well, it's sort of like if you buy a really nice pair of shoes, you don't buy the nice pair of shoes to go out, mud kicking. You buy them, to go to nice places. If you own a cat, there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make to own that cat, and one of them is no black furniture, no nice furniture, no nice anything. You're a cat owner. Deal with it.
Yeah. At least you have an attack cat.
Oh yeah. Well, my cat's just a fat cat. He's in the other room doing his fat cat thing.
Yeah.
I love him. It's the most expensive thing I own. He is. If you have a male cat, be careful of what you feed them because they could get blockage. It's very, very painful and very expensive.
1 minute until showtime.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. What's going on here? Oh, okay. Is Jonathan in the chat room, or he's kind of faded out? I'm not sure what that is. Ben? Oh, you're not in there. You don't see. What is that? He's like faded but not out. I'm not sure what that is.
Fade to black.
Yeah, here we go. Five seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Grossman. For Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper, this show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Computer America Show. Got a great show planned for you. We had for those of you who get our weekly email newsletter, the show reminder, we've had a schedule change. Both Doodle and Mellow Mushroom are going to being rescheduled for later on in the month, and no, for next month, excuse me. And so they'll be back and be with us here. So we found ourselves once again with no one scheduled to be on the show, and
With more free time than guests to fill it.
Yeah, well, at the last, because it all happened
At the last minute.
Yes, but fear not, Computer America listeners. We have someone really great for you, and he is one of our correspondents, and his name is Nathan Evans. Did I say error? Nathan Evans, and he is the managing editor of Popzara magazine. If you haven't visited Popzara magazine before, the website, it's defined as being a bazaar of popular culture spanning the world of arts and entertainment, fronted by an anthropomorphic cap-wearing dinosaur mascot. and you'll read views on video gaming, movies, technology, cultural movements, icons, and yes, even politics. They have opinion pieces there, debates, reflections, reviews, analysis, news tidbits, and so much more. And Nathan, thanks so much for being with us here tonight. Welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Hey, Greg. Hey, Ben. You know what? I think I like your name for me a lot better. It sounds
Nathan
French.
Harris, huh?
Yeah.
Nathan Error?
Hey, it sounds very French or European.
We have to add the accent. Nathan Error. Yes, exactly. Uh-huh.
Good to be back, though. Good to be back.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you so much for being here with us on tonight's show. We've got lots to talk about, of course, so much happening. And by the way, for all of you listeners out there, if you would like to join in on the conversation, we certainly welcome your participation. The way you can do that is just give us a call. 347, that's the area code, 884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. There's also email, live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in the live interactive Computer America chat room. Just go to our homepage at computeramerica.com, click the chat room and live video button, and you'll see a split screen. On the left-hand side there will be the entry screen for our chat room. Just put in a username. That's the nickname. That's what the name will be known by when you go in there. Click the connect button, and your browser, and it doesn't have to have Java anymore, thank goodness. Your regular old-fashioned browser will move you into the chat room. For those of you who like things a little bit more formatted in its own window, we actually offer some IRC clients because it's an IRC chat room, and we have Chatzilla and IRC Chat. There's a number of them. Just click the free software, the IRC software button under the chat room entry form, and you'll be taken to our free software page, and at the bottom there you'll see all the different ones that are available. Okay. And
by the way, something else that we should probably mention is we've redone the homepage, or at least our webmaster has redone the homepage.
Yes, he has,
he's condensed it to try to be for anyone who has the smaller screens. You no longer have to scroll to find anything. It's all should be right there, and links going out to anywhere you may need.
Right, and we have links to a demo and networks and a weekly newsletter. So it's all there on the homepage, but it has been condensed. For your viewing pleasure, just makes things a little easier for you to do that. We've also made some changes on a couple of the other pages too, but we will get back to that a little later on in the program. So there is that, and then so I mentioned the phone numbers, the chat room, and also sharing the chat room page is our live Computer America video streaming page. So because not only can you listen to the Computer America show, you can now watch us. We have live video streaming, and you can just go click on that, and it'll take you right into the. Matter of fact, you don't have to click on it. When you go to the chat room, the video will start automatically for you, so you can watch the show. Now, if you get here a little bit earlier, there'll just be a countdown to when the show begins. But it's all automatic. You don't have to really do anything for the live video streaming. It just happens for you. Let's see, anything else? The page streaming, yep. And so that's pretty much so. Again, give us a call, 347-884-8881. It can be on topic, it can be off topic. You can just join in, make a comment, suggestion. We'd love to hear from you. So, obviously, Nathan, this is the it's the new year, and I guess we throw everything out with the new year and start all over again, sort of. One of the things that we've been talking about here, it's been in the news a lot. Microsoft, I think, was last Monday, had a kind of another preview for their Windows 10 and made a couple of interesting announcements. So I was kind of wondering if you have any thoughts on anything having to do with Windows 10, any kind of opinions about it, and thoughts that you could share with us. And if it's no, then we'll move on to something else.
Windows 10. Where's 9? Have I been sleeping?
Yeah.
Have I been on? Now, we've talked about Windows 10 before, and for anybody who doesn't know, I'm on one of the preview builds, and I've been using intermittently Windows 10 since it was first announced last summer, and it's not my primary Windows, not even my primary operating system. That would be Mac, but I like Windows 10. I like where it's going. I still maintain, even to this day, with the new build, that Windows 10 will be to Windows 8 what Windows 7 was to Windows Vista. A necessary, important, and good upgrade. Don't hesitate. It's exactly what Windows 8 should have been. And as they say, Windows 7, 8, 9. So here we go. Microsoft made Windows 10 official for everybody, and they didn't really say much more other than one big thing that everybody wanted to know about, which was the initial pricing scheme. And there's been a lot of theories going around what Microsoft would do. Now remember, Craig, man, everybody was talking about what Apple was doing with Yosemite and Mavericks. It's free. iOS is free. Android is free. Linux, well, it's always been free. And there's just this push to try to get Windows on more machines. And I think Microsoft finally realized that it's paying for Windows, if you're an average Joe Schmo like us, is an increasingly unattractive proposition. So they're going to make, for the first time ever, they're going to make Windows free. Now I know everybody out there is laughing and thinking, yeah, I've never paid for Windows. Yeah, all you bootleggers, you don't have to bootleg this one. It's free. As long as you have Windows 7 or 8 or 8.1, whatever they're calling it, free for a year. That means if you have a legitimate copy of Windows 7 or 8. Now, I don't know exactly how that'll run because, again, a lot of people are running bootlegged copies of Windows, so I don't know if the upgrade is going to circumvent that and allow them to upgrade. The important thing is Microsoft wants people to have Windows 10. They really, really want you to have Windows 10. They want a level playing field for a couple reasons. The most important reason, of course, is mobile. Very important to have mobile. As you know, Microsoft has been doing terrible in the mobile spectrum. Horrible. And part of that has to do with two things. A very, very erratic launch of Windows 7.5 and Windows 8 phones, or Windows Phone, and the tablet market, hence Windows 8. Now remember, if anybody doesn't have a Windows tablet, Windows 8 was supposed to merge and bridge the gap between desktop and tablet. It was going to do everything that your PC could do and everything your iPad could do in one. Well, that never works, and it didn't work there. It brought the company down. It made a very, very bad impression on people who would be graduating from an iPad to anything else. And, well, it didn't work for Microsoft. They lost market share. They lost PC sales. Everything was bad all around, including 2 disastrous launches of the Surface tablet. Now, here we are in 2015. It's free, a free upgrade for those people still hanging on Windows 7, and that's the big deal. A lot of people didn't upgrade to Windows 8. A lot of people didn't feel it was an upgrade. They felt it was a downgrade, all because of the Start button. Those people are silly. Windows 8 was a lot better than Windows 7 in most respects. It's definitely faster, definitely more efficient. Again, if you really need that button, the Start button's coming back. So don't worry about it. Life is good. So for those people, Craig, going on from Windows 7 to Windows 8 to Windows 10, I think it's going to be a nice upgrade, and you can't beat the price. Now, I know we talked about this before the show, where there's been some rumors about a subscription-based Windows coming out. I don't know, but I know that Microsoft has made subscriptions to everything else they have. So,
Yeah.
so you might stand to reason Office 360 is subscription-based. The Xbox Live is subscription-based. Windows Music is subscription-based. Lots of things are subscription-based. They even offer you a single subscription that'll get you everything. But I don't know about Windows. I do know.
Just recently, we did a story about how the new Microsoft Office 2016, coming out at the end of this year, is going to be like any traditional Microsoft Office suite that you have known. So it's not going to be subscription-based. I believe they're still going to be offering Office 365, but they're also offering Microsoft Office 2016. So you pay for that one time and you get it. It's just a standalone suite, which was surprising because I thought the Office 365 was going to be the end-all, be-all of Office.
Right. It didn't quite work out that way. And in fact, Office 2013? Was it 2013?
Yeah.
You could still purchase the suite on Windows machines, whereas Mac users were stuck with 2011 and the giant clunky ribbon. But fear not, for apparently Office 2016, and apparently Microsoft can't number anything correct anymore. But Office 2016 coming in 2015, because Office is like a car,
Mm-hmm.
It should be versatile between PC and Mac this time, as well as iOS and Android. Those last two are very important because one of the purposes, Ben, from Office 2013 or Office 365 is that it would give you access to Office on your iOS or on your Android device.
Yep.
Recently Android device, I should say. Now, the reason this is very important, the reason this is critical to try to evaluate what the pricing may be, is remember, Microsoft bet the farm with Windows Phone. Excuse me.
No problem.
Excuse me. Microsoft is getting to me. Anyway, they bet the farm on Office being the killer app for Windows Phone and the Surface tablet. All the commercials were, we can do Office, we can do Office. It didn't sell, didn't help. So Office appeared on iPhone, appeared on iPad, and immediately became the top downloaded app on Apple's App Store. And then it finally appeared on Android. And by all accounts, very good versions. So now Microsoft is faced with supporting software, much like Google, on competing platforms for revenue. You're very right, though. How does Microsoft make money if they're giving it away for free? I don't know. With Windows, that's one of their staples, as is Office. If you discount their server machines and everything else, Microsoft's lost a lot of money. They've lost a lot of money, but with discount software and hardware. So I think there will probably continue to be a subscription-based Office for some people,
Mm-hmm.
and that will stand alongside the complete package model. For my money, I would opt for the complete package model because you never know. But as far as the subscription, who knows?
I mean, I see the subscription being more for those who want the Office suite on their computer and don't have to worry about it going obsolete or anything like that. Because even if you pay for Office 365 by the year, it's still going to take you 3 to 4 years for it to equal the cost of the traditional package. And by that time, there's obviously a new one. So for someone who doesn't have to worry about updating, upgrading, that kind of thing, go for that way. But with the complete package, you'll know you'll always have it. You'll have that exact program. There'll be support for it, and you can take it offline, do whatever you want. You don't have to do anything like that. It's what people have been used to. So it seems like they're going to go both ways. Except one thing I got to point out, though, is that they did announce during their last press event, which was about a week and a half ago, Microsoft announced they were going to be offering, what was it? It was like Office Essentials or Office Everywhere. It was some kind of app that was going to be in mobile. It's going to be shipped with every version of Windows 10, be it on your phone, on your tablet, on your desktop. All of them are going to come with this Office Everywhere. I should really look up the name.
Yes.
Where it's like a watered-down version of the Office applications, but it's enough to make a PowerPoint slide, to write a document. It's just not going to be as full-featured. But they're obviously they're still gunning for, you want to use Office and you want to use it on every device. So we're going to give it to you. It's just if you want better, greater, bigger things, and probably, let's face it, without ads, upgrade to the full version.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Go for it.
Now, there was a terrible terrorist attack in Paris a few weeks ago. It was a horrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the U.S. was criticized for not sending an envoy. So in order to make appeasement for that, they sent John Kerry, Secretary of State John Kerry, and he brought along with him James Taylor. Now, I love James Taylor. I'm a big fan of James Taylor. But I would gather that about 90% of the universe doesn't think James Taylor is that popular to be demonstrating.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I view Microsoft. They view Office as this killer feature that you have to have. Now remember, you might not know this, but a lot of businesses were tied down to Office. They were tied down to Internet Explorer. They were tied down to a lot of this stuff. If you wanted a PC, you had to have a Windows machine. No one was going to trust Linux, and hell no for Mac. It was too expensive. This is 2015. It doesn't exist anymore. You don't have to have Office anymore. In fact, Google does a really fine job with their mediocre Office suite. I say mediocre not in a bad way. Mediocre as in it's not as full-featured, and most people don't need it. You don't need to buy a Lexus to deliver pizzas. And that's what Office is. It's Lexus. It's a wonderful program. It's fantastic. It's you can do anything with it. But Grandma, who just wants to type a letter to her grandson, doesn't need Office. She can use the free programs. She could use, if she has a Mac, she can use Pages. If she has any computer, she can use Google Docs. You could use Word. You could use Notepad. You don't need a full-featured. People don't need Outlook anymore the way they used to. They just don't need these programs. And if Microsoft has continued to water down the market with this divergement of multiple SKUs of the same product that it's becoming increasingly confusing, it's not going to work. They're going to become like the Blockbuster Video of the office world. It's just not relevant anymore. They need to understand this.
It seems like they're trying to diversify their price point, where if you are more comfortable, because let's face it, lots and lots of people love subscriptions. They love their subscription to Netflix, to Amazon Prime. They love their subscription to everything. They auto pay their bills, which is essentially turning all your bills into subscriptions. People love subscriptions, so they're obviously still going to offer that. But then for the holdouts out there who either they don't want to pay a subscription, they just want the Office. They know they have it. They download it. They can use it offline. They love it. Then they give them that the option too. And then those who really don't want to jump in, use the whole thing, they give them a freebie little. Use it when you need it. It's not going to be as full featured, but it should get you through.
Well,
it just Microsoft to me seems like they're really trying to hit every price point. Not that they're diverging everything. It's just they're trying to hit every part of the market at once.
They're completely missing one market, and that's the free market. You know, one of the largest growing markets for all laptops, a big usurper in the market, a giant usurper, has been Chromebooks. Now, Chromebooks don't run Office, not natively. They run Google, and for everybody who buys a Chromebook, they're going into the Google system, just like when you buy an iPhone, you're going into the Apple system. And for every person who has a Chromebook, that's one less person who doesn't need Office. Especially with so many schools adopting these web-based programs, Microsoft's strategy of requiring Office documentation for secure document creation, it's not there anymore. It's just not there. You don't have to buy it. And schools are faced with having to upgrade Windows XP machines into Windows 8 or Windows thing. XP is not getting the free upgrade. And for every single terminal you have, what's the proposition? Upgrading 10 terminals with $100 a year subscriptions, or just using Google Docs, or just using a free program, or using OpenOffice. Well, let's be clear, OpenOffice is not a competitor. Sorry, Linux people. Nobody likes your program, and they don't like LibreOffice either. They want Office or they want Google. And sorry, Apple, Pages is a fun program, but it's just not Office. But no. That's the deal, though, is that I'd be very interested to see what they do with this, because again, Google's entire model on this has been giving away mediocre programs for free, convincing you to replace your paid programs, and then coming at you and offering you a subscription to pay again for your free programs, like Google Apps for Business. Microsoft is pretty upfront about it. Pay us, and we'll give you support. That's attractive, but you said it yourself, Ben. Everybody likes subscriptions, and you know, in April, HBO is about to go subscription-based. You don't need cable anymore. People think they're going to save money. Okay, Netflix is $8, Amazon Prime's $100 a year, whatever that comes out to. Hulu's $8 a month. After a while, the amount of subscriptions you're paying exceeds the value you're getting. And I don't know if people are going to be astute enough to tell. But again, I'm not putting my money on this being an Office-centric world anymore, and I'm not going to put my money on it not. I think it's all up to what Microsoft does. But I got to tell you, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised to see Office pop up on the Xbox One. I don't know how, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Pretty sure even the Xbox One, because it will be getting whatever they're calling the application or Windows 10 for the Xbox. Pretty sure they're going to be getting that the Office apps everywhere thing.
Well, I will tell you one thing: if they feature a game called Master Chief Teaches Typing, I'm in. Because I have good memories of Mavis Beacon and Super Mario teaching me how to type faster. But I will say this. You bring up a good point. I want to get on this real quick. This universal app stuff, the idea that they're baking all operating systems and all universal apps. I'd like to see how this comes, because your phone doesn't need as big a footprint as your PC. And your PC requires a much bigger digital footprint than your tablet. So the burden of having to require developers to develop 5 different versions of an app, including in a package, I don't know how that's going to fly for developers, especially if the app, because this is entirely geared towards Windows Phone. Make no mistake, they want to require the version to be compatible with Windows Phone so they can increase the number of apps available on Windows Phone and increase the market share. I don't think that's going to work. I think it's going to be like a BlackBerry situation where it's just not going to be enough. But I would like to see for example, you can download Office on your iPhone. It'll about 200 megs or so. But what if that 200 megs becomes 3 gigs like Office? It just doesn't make any sense for developers. It doesn't make any sense for the distribution networks. So I like Microsoft's idea of forcing you to include versions for consoles or platforms you may not have or may not want, but I don't know if it's going to fly. They tried this before in 2006 with Vista and DirectX 9. They tried to force you to have software you didn't want. Xbox Live, by the way, Xbox Live in 2006 for the PC was a paid service before it went free, and eventually it went away. I don't know if forcing companies to program for dead platforms is going to work for them. I hope it does, but I will tell you this, the most exciting thing at that show was not the price, that was pretty cool, but was their Holo headset.
Oh, the HoloLens.
Yeah, so what a nice surprise. But you see, that's another example of what I was talking about. There's nothing that HoloSet's doing that can't be done on Windows 7 or Windows 8, but they're going to sell the idea that you need Windows 10 to use this, augmented reality thing. And that, I think eventually we're going to see that fade away too. I think eventually that Holo thing will come and become available on Windows 7 and Windows 8.
Yeah.
It should,
I mean, before we jump onto HoloLens and everything that is promising or building up to be, I thought we could go back real quick to Windows 10. I don't know if we really beat it to death enough. That being
like a horse.
The subscription model, and one of the concerns that we kind of raised here, where if Windows 10 is a subscription model, which you're kind of pointing out that it probably won't be, but we just had the report from Marty Winston, so that's what we're kind of going on until we hear otherwise.
Well, you bring up a good point. I mean, it's all up in the air at this point, and I thought they might go subscription too, but let's look at it this way. Microsoft sells licenses to OEMs in order to make a lot of their money. But Microsoft, with the Surface tablet, became a competitor to the OEMs. They decided to get on the business. And I don't want to get too off base, but the first Surface and the second Surfaces were colossal failures for Microsoft, as was Windows RT. They lost money on it. They basically might as well just thrown the money outside in the river. But apparently the Surface 3 is starting to sell pretty well. I mean, not where it needs to be, but it was one of the high points of Microsoft's press earnings report. It made over $1 billion, which is much better than losing $1 billion. But anyway, going back to that, one of the things that Microsoft's been restructuring in order to get Windows 8 on machines is they're offering free versions of Windows called Windows 8.1 with Bing. It's an ad-supported thing. It's the same version of Windows, but Bing is your default search browser. It's all this, search engine, it's all this stuff. It doesn't cost OEMs who create Windows machines of a certain size and caliber for free. I just had a client where I bought them an HP Stream 13 for $206, brand new, from the HP website. That's a $200 Windows 8 machine that's decent. That's better than any Chromebook. It's more versatile, more useful. That's what Microsoft has been doing. But in order to get this price down, they're going to sacrifice revenue and try to gain it back through Bing search results. Bing also is a partner of Yahoo, and as you probably know, Mozilla dumped Google as their default search engine a couple weeks ago, and Yahoo's market share went up. It went up immediately because a lot of people. And I will say this though, to be fair with you, completely fair, I have changed my default search on my Firefox from Yahoo to Google, and they keep changing it back.
Do they?
Yeah, I don't like that. I would say leave it alone. But whatever. My point is this.
Who's doing that to you? I don't get that.
I don't know. I think I might not be hitting the right button, or it could be every time they update the browser, it switches it back. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Microsoft is experimenting with free Windows for OEMs right now. They're experimenting with ad-supported operating systems. They're experimenting with a lot of things. And do they dip their toe into the subscription-based model? You have to look at the competition. The competition, Google, Apple, they can do things that Microsoft can't do. Apple's money does not come from OS X. Google's money does not come from Chrome OS or from Android. They don't make any money off those. They make their money on advertising. Apple makes their money on hardware. When people buy an Apple, they're giving you OS for free. They're not making any money. You can't buy it. Microsoft makes almost all their money on software. So I don't know if they're going to go completely free. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But let's be clear here. Microsoft has made some horrible mistakes with Windows in the past few years.
Well,
so who knows where they're going to do with this?
But I've always maintained, and I believe it's completely true. We've had many people saying this. even Microsoft, is that Microsoft really does not make their money from Windows. Their cash cow is Office, and has always been Office.
It's a combination of three things for them. I don't know if they still call it Azure servers, but they make their money through servers, through their enterprise market, through Office and through Windows. But steadily, the Office and the Windows streams have been falling as their market share decreases. It's funny. Again, during their sharing of their profits, they announced that the Xbox One, which has sold better than the PlayStation 4 for the last few months, has actually lost Microsoft a lot of money, billions of dollars, because every time they lower the price in order to bleed to get the consoles into the market, they lose funding. I mean, this is not a winning game for them to do this. I mean, they could give people an Xbox One or a Windows machine, but if they're not making any money off it, they have to make money through app purchasing or software purchasing. And if you don't have the market share for that, you can't do that. And so will Microsoft bleed Windows in order to gain market share? They could. They've done it before. They've done it last year. Could they charge for a subscription for Windows? Very possible. It might even be an option. But I don't know. I think, and you brought up a very good point, Craig. What happens when your operating system, when your business decides to stop paying Microsoft?
Yeah.
Who wants to be in that scenario?
Mm-hmm.
Your operating system immediately turns into ransomware because it might. I just can't wrap my brain around it that you pay for an operating system, you're using their product, and then they pull it, and then your entire computer is essentially a brick because the hard drive is no longer useful.
Well, then
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Linux becomes a lot more valuable at that point.
Yeah.
If I'm running a small business, I don't know if I'm going to make any money. I don't know if I'm going to be fungible or not. I don't want to have to worry about something that I didn't have to worry about before. That's why you have so many machines. I was at Office Depot the other day making some prints. They're still stuck on Windows XP. They couldn't read my PDF file. Still, yeah. My iPod can read my PDF file. It is going to be a horrible scenario to ask businesses who don't want to upgrade to suddenly start paying a monthly fee. Now, you and I, Ben, could see the value in that. Maybe even a lot of millennials, but millennials aren't using Windows. They're using iPhones and Androids. So it's going to be interesting to see. Look, I wish them luck. I think it's a good idea. But again, no company stays in power forever. Microsoft is having a very bumpy transition from global market leader. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting.
All right, well, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we'll take a quick break and then we'll continue on. You listen to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine, is here with us. Got a news twist pulled review coming up. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
I thought I told you not to sneak up on me. This is Marty Winston with a news tips bulletin review for Computer America. This time, the Olight S20R Baton and Dock flashlight. It's a chapstick-sized rechargeable lithium battery inside a Tootsie Roll-size everyday carry light. And that's something we might expect in a rechargeable flashlight. But the Olight S20R rechargeable LED baton light adds layers of extra useful features. The cleverest piece is a small triangular charging dock that not only gets powered over USB, it has a pass-along 2-amp USB charging port. The dock is automatically lined up with the charging contacts on the magnetic base of the light. That magnetic base is strong enough to hold the light horizontally when working on a car or in a circuit breaker panel. A single button on the side of the light selects high, which is 550 lumens, good for 2 hours, or medium, which is 120 lumens, good for 9 hours, or low, which is 5 lumens, good for 120 hours for charge, or with a double press, a bright strobe mode. Bottom line, the Olight S20R Baton flashlight and dock provide a handy combination for keeping a fully charged and very capable LED flashlight at hand. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour. We have Nathan Evans here with us. We are talking pretty much Windows 10 right now. Not 9, 10, 10 to 10. And we were just talking about the subscription-based model. We were wrapping it up, honestly, and I just got to say, you mentioned that they were transitioning from essentially global dominators to maybe just another member of the market, where I'll be honest with you, I am completely surprised, especially after their last presentation, their last, I don't want to say press release, their last, presentation, that such a big company, such a massive company, is trying to change and be as dynamic as they're trying to be so quickly. It's more than we've seen out of Windows in the past couple years. Nope.
Nate, are you there?
Yes. It clicked out. I apologize.
Oh, and no problem. And they're trying a lot. They're trying a lot of different things with a lot of different products. They're essentially just shotgunning everything. And I think as long as the reviews on Windows 10 are good, which I haven't heard. You mentioned that you actually use Windows 10. I haven't heard any particularly bad reviews. I've heard this is the true successor to Windows 7. It's of course the obvious every other version kind of deal. I haven't heard any big complaints. So if they make the operating system cheap and or free, and the reviews stay strong, Windows, they seem stronger than they have in the past couple of years.
Well, what you're talking about is called the spaghetti approach, and it's usually a sign of two things: of great innovation and of great confusion. Microsoft is throwing everything at the wall, seeing what sticks. Again, BlackBerry went through this kind of scenario as well. You know, what happens is that when you have a user base that's just incalculable. How many people use old desktop machines? You know, I was talking to a friend about this just last week. Like, how many people have to sit down at a computer, have to log in, have to sit on a desk or whatever, or a laptop, log into their instant messenger, and type on a keyboard in front of a monitor to instant message? And the fact of the matter is, not very many. Most people use instant messaging on their phones or tablets now. And for Microsoft's transition from the necessary operating system, you have to have a Windows machine to do all this stuff. It's just not true anymore. And I think when we talk about reviews of an operating system, I think the nerds care about it. I think the geeks care about it, of course. But they were very unfair to Windows 8, because that's what nerds and geeks do. They play favorites. They play favorites about which system they like, what console, what RAM, what video card they like, and you don't really get a good portrayal of it. But at the end of the day, no one cares what they have to say. And so, unfortunately, Ben, I have to disagree. I don't think reviews will make much of a difference. What I think will make a difference is if the average person actually gets their hands on it. If the average person gets their hands on it through a new PC acquisition or whatever, then I think those people. But again, how many people are going to rush out, like, cue the running motion, to Best Buy to buy a new laptop because they need to do their email and they need to do this? The fact of the matter is, the best-selling laptop, the best-selling computer is the MacBook. It's been that way. MacBook and Apple dominates the PC market. The graveyard of the computer world is littered with the corpses of businesses that have tried to stay relevant in the PC market. Packard Bell, IBM, everybody. Even Dell's no longer a publicly traded company, and they laughed off Apple. But it's not Apple's doing. Apple's staying relevant because Apple doesn't play the game. They've become a design machine, whereas the Windows machine, it's cleaving off. Everybody had a Windows machine, so the market could only dither. The people that needed it for school, maybe they might get a laptop for school. The people that needed it for design may get a laptop for design, may get an Apple. But what about the grandma who just wanted to check recipes? She got an iPad for Christmas. Or the lady down the street who got a Kindle Fire. That's her computer now. People watching Netflix, they got a Roku for that. The fact of the matter is, it had to come from the Windows market because the Windows market was the all-encompassing, we do everything approach. But people are liking apps, they're liking devices, they're liking streaming services, they're liking game systems better. I mean, to be honest with you, the hardcore PC user is pretty much the domain of the business owner and the gamer. And when you have companies, when you have the biggest gaming service on the PC actively trying to destroy Windows, which is Valve. I don't know how much of a ringing endorsement that's going to be, But to be fair with you, Valve is run by a madman, and Steambox has turned out to be vaporware for the most part. But my point is this, is that I wish Microsoft the best of luck. I don't want to see a big company tumble like this. But remember, 15 years ago, if you had a PC, it was probably an IBM Windows machine. IBM doesn't even make computers anymore. They sold off that branch of Lenovo to China. Now Microsoft's left. And Bill is out there doing his promotion, and Ballmer is playing basketball. So who knows where things are going to go in 2015?
Yes to everything you just said, except at the very beginning you said the spaghetti method or what have you is either a sign of great innovation or great turmoil. And one thing that we should probably branch off to is the fact that
spaghetti?
No. Well, first of all, you got to start with a nice tomato base. There's no other way to do it. But
puree into your sauce, and it's a bigger, thicker sauce. That's all.
Delicious. But what we should branch off to is, you mentioned a little bit earlier, innovation, HoloLens, and something that I didn't see a mile away. This kind of broke, and think virtual reality, think Oculus Rift, think whatever the one PlayStation might be plugging, and I think Sony even has one, but. Yeah, virtual reality. It's turning. It looks a little bit like 3D used to, with 3D televisions and how they're the hot new trend. Except this time, everyone who tries one, and trust me, they're really. The advertising campaign, they're really pushing the average Joe walking up and trying virtual reality, and they love it. So HoloLens.
Our colleague Grayson Hamilton went to CES, and he tried out Oculus Rift. He tried out Crescent Bay, and he's been on board since the beginning, and he liked it too. He's a big fan, and I know many people, like you said, they've tried it and they liked it. But here's the problem. Now, you said you couldn't see it, but think back, and you probably could. Oculus has been in the mind share for a couple of years now. It was bought out by Facebook. Sony announced they're going to have a virtual reality for the PlayStation. Google, of course, had Google Glass, which has now been discontinued. And now you have Microsoft with their Holo thing. Now, it's not virtual reality, though. This is the difference. VR is complete immersion, like Oculus Rift. Yeah. What Microsoft is offering is AR, augmented reality. It's basically, if you've ever used a Nintendo 3DS, they actually have a cool little mini game called AR, where you can point the 3DS, and it's been out for years, you can point it, and it just adds a layer of surrealism. The Sony PlayStation had a thing called iToy, and they had plenty of these iToy things on it. They had little monster games. They had a Harry Potter book that you could do. It was all garbage. It was all worthless. Nobody liked it. But the idea of augmented reality on a headset actually might work. But as far as it being original, I still think it's the spaghetti approach because everyone else is doing it. And because everyone else is doing it, the race is going to be, the idea is who gets there first is going to win. The problem is, if I can just make this one point,
Sure.
we saw this with 3D television. We see this with certain things. The race could be there, yes, to get there, but at the end, does anybody want to be there? The nerds like it, but there's still several things we don't understand. 1, what's the pricing? 2, when is it ever coming out? 3, what's the support like? And the most important thing of all, as someone who has a recently injured back and a neck from who knows what, what's the strain going to be on your eyes and your neck? I have heard nothing. I've heard nobody talk about this. The fact of the matter, people type on their keyboards, Ben, and they have carpal tunnel just from typing. Now imagine taking the strain of moving your mouse and keyboard and apply that on your neck, your 7 vertebrae which create your neck. Now imagine putting light bulbs in front of your eyes. The fact of the matter is that's not healthy, and no one's ever going to convince me that putting light bulbs in front of your eyes and weight on your neck and having to move around is going to be good for you. I heard nobody talk about this. And the other thing is, like 3D, it becomes secular. In order to enjoy it, you have to arrange your lifestyle around this positioning. And 3D didn't work. It didn't work. No matter how much they tried it, no matter how much they advertised it, no matter how much they convinced you, people just said, it's cool, but it's not essential, so I'm going to skip it. And eventually it died down. And I kind of think, 20 years ago, we had this same BS. We had virtual reality. On the cover of Popular Mechanics was a virtual reality helmet from Sega, a game company. The future, virtual reality. Nintendo, the company whose only failure has been a virtual reality headset, the Virtual Boy. These things come around every 20 years, just like 3D. Vincent Price had 3D, in the 60s. And then you had 3D in the 80s with Jaws. And then you had 3D again. It never catches on. And the virtual reality, it never catches on.
Why, though? Why? Because, it mimics light. Why?
Because the people that are pushing the technology are not the people that should be pushing it. When you look at 3D, I want to put a caveat there. There have been good 3D things, but they came from people who were artists. They came from people like James Cameron, not people who made the booby movies with boobies in your face in 3D. It came from Avatar. In 3D gaming, the only company that ever did 3D gaming good was Nintendo. They had a system built around it. They made a Mario game, and it was good, but not these stupid fishing simulators and swat a bug screen. You have to have content that proves the technology. If you don't have content that proves the technology, it's a gimmick. And like the spaghetti approach, nobody likes to eat spaghetti that's dripping off a wall. They want a nicely prepared, exquisite pasta that was made to be great, not some chance.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I've seen a multitude of 3D movies, and I've stopped going to see them, but the one that made the most impression was the 3D version of Avatar. I mean, gorgeous. Absolutely.
I mean, there's some cartoons that do it well, but for the most part, it was Avatar because you had Cameron, who's frankly a genius, who knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he set out to do. I mean, and this is what you're going to take. You need a chef. And there's no chef at Sony. There's no chef at Microsoft. There's no chef at Google or Facebook. These people think the technology is what people want. Nobody gives a crap. Nobody wants your headset. Even if you give it away. Look at Google Glass. I'm on record. Google Glass was always going to be a failure because it was never essential. It was invasive. If you have to make technology essential. If you don't make it essential, it won't become essential. And you can put all the tricks and the head twirls and the virtual rooms and the trailers, but at the end of the day, you're going to want to take that thing off your head, and you're going to want to watch YouTube on a TV because it's a lot less strain on your neck and your eyes. It may not be the greatest thing in the world, but you'll feel better about it in the morning. And until they fix that problem, it's always going to be a gimmick, and that's why it keeps coming around. It just keeps. You think it's gone, but it comes back.
They tried making things essential. With the Xbox, the Kinect, it had to come with a Kinect, that kind of thing. They tried to make it essential, and people panicked.
No, essential. Actually, no. Kinect was anything but essential. Kinect was garbage. It was the way it was integrated was garbage. At first, it was going to watch you. That was the first requirement. You had to have it on. It was going to watch you. Oh, you covered it? Can't work. You need it. That was their ploy. Turns out that wasn't true. Then they said the Xbox One needed the Kinect to run. Turns out it wasn't true. Then they said it was always going to listen to you. Turns out it wasn't true. They keep saying these things are essential, but it's not. And you know what they did? Microsoft foobarred a whole bunch of developers that said, guess what, guys? Every single Xbox One console is going to have the Kinect. So put Kinect features in your game and people will use them because it is there. But no, they removed the ability, they removed the necessity. A lot of developers, like Harmonix, by the way, Harmonix, which is a company that got famous for making Guitar Hero and then Rock Band, they got screwed because no one's going to buy their games because everyone with an Xbox doesn't have a Kinect anymore. So you have to have confidence in your product. And Microsoft has shown more cowardice in supporting their own products. They backtrack everything. Everything they've done in 2 years, they backtracked. Everything. So if you're going to ask me, am I going to buy Windows 10? No. Will I download it and use it for free? Yes. And that's what they need. They need to convince people like me, and they need to get that software in my hands, and other people like me.
But the augmented reality, now that
could work.
Yeah.
They're working. What was it? Someone brought this up the other day that one of the executives at Microsoft actually wrote a memoir about how Microsoft is seeing the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years in the future. This was back in 1998. And inside that book, he actually predicted the rise of virtual reality headsets, virtual reality, augmented reality headsets coming in 2015. So,
In 1998, the two things Microsoft was investing was, and no joke, Barney the Dinosaur and Web TV. So
both good investments.
Both good. Well, hey there. But no, the fact of the matter is that these companies, they're reading different notes than you and I are reading. The reason you have all this rise of virtual reality is because the tea leaves were read years and years and years and years ago. I mean, if we're gonna talk about precocious things, before we start ascribing, who was that soothsayer that everyone everyone said was so accurate, and he predicted Hitler and all this stuff.
That was
Nostradamus.
Nostradamus, right? Well, I'll tell you what. You know who's more accurate than Nostradamus? Back to the Future Part 2. Here we are in 2015. We have 3D hologram sharks. We have games you don't need your hands to play. We have self-lacing Nike shoes. We don't have hoverboards yet, but I guarantee you half of Japan is working on it. So you get lucky sometimes, and sometimes the future's there. Virtual reality has been a part of science fiction for decades and decades and decades. People predicted iPads back in the 70s, but predicting and creation are two different things. Isaac Asimov predicted everything. He predicted the internet in 2001. Go watch the movie. Everyone's video conferencing and they're sending messages. But I'm not going to give him credit for the internet. But it was a cool idea, and the nugget is there. And so I think augmented reality, to be honest with you, has a much, much, much better shot than virtual reality because it doesn't occupy your whole vision. It augments, and I got to tell you, who doesn't want Minority Report style controls on their computer? That's pretty cool. That could be innovation.
Also, just real quick side note, of the same gentleman who predicted that kind of thing also said that the singularity was coming in 2050. So let's hope he's not always right.
Well, Google Now is here, so maybe
you think that's singularity?
Yeah, you won't know. We don't know it is. Maybe it is. Maybe part of the singularity is that it's got to keep quiet. It's got to be like that government program that causes people to respond to a trigger word, like a Manchurian Candidate. Okay. If you want to activate your laptop, you say, "Okay, Google." We're already talking to our machines like they're servants, so why not? Hey, okay, Google, you can take over now. We're done.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know who. That's the fun part, though, isn't it? Not predicting, but guessing and saying, okay, this could be cool. But I'll tell you what, though. The world is filled with what we call peakers. The idea is that it's like the Buddhists call enlightenment. The moment you know it, and it's always there. It's always going to be there. But the second before, you had no idea, and that's what we need. We need people like Cameron, people like Shigeru Miyamoto, these brilliant designers who pave the future and show us what we never wanted. Hell. Imagine go back and watch any 1980s movie. All the TVs were 50 inches thick. The phones were the size of cable boxes. Who knew back then that everyone would be using, computers the size of credit cards? That's a cool stuff. That's really cool. So who knows what virtual reality will be? But I will tell you this: the future is not going to be a giant helmet that you got to stick on your head. That's not going to work. It's just, I'll predict it right now, and it shouldn't work because it's dangerous and it's stupid. And anybody who thinks that people are going to buy $200 Oculus Rifts so they can sit around and look like glazed fools, you know what? Type in Oculus Rift. Go look at every picture. You look stupid using it. You look worse than Geordie LaForge on Star Trek. No one will willingly look that dumb and pay for it.
But Facebook paid what, $6 billion for it?
Oh, that's Facebook. You know, that's Facebook. Facebook purchased a product that was already kickstarted and funded. Made a lot of people upset about that because they use the Kickstarter program as sort of a venture capitalist. You know, the guy who made Oculus, he's only like 21 years old, 22 years old. You know, he's already worth more money than anybody. You give a 21 $2 billion, he's going to take it, and if he doesn't take it, then he's dumb. You know, so take that money and run.
Yeah, just like the same gentleman who made Minecraft. The game was a hit. They bought it, and Microsoft now owns it, and he's a multi-billionaire sometimes over. But hey, I guess all I can say is the future. You said that it's virtual reality is dangerous and dumb. I think that might be the best slogan for the future in general with technology.
Well, I like virtual reality, but it's got to be like the holodeck. It's got to be full immersion. You can't. First of all, how do you control Oculus Rift? You still got a controller or a keyboard. That's not realistic. So you get these people harnessed in these suits, and they got them hanging by some sort of, by some conveyor belt or some crane. That just makes it worse. You're making it even more dumb.
But Nate, you do know that Grayson Hamilton, when he was at CES, tried on the Oculus Rift, and he loved it.
Well, he loved it before he tried it on. So, look, he's part of the tech community. They love ideas. The tech community, the gaming community, they reward ideas. It's like giving Barack Obama a Nobel Prize before he did anything, because we think he might. We think Oculus is going to be great, and it is. It's a cool idea. It's pretty interesting. But these people aren't asking the real questions. Why is it necessary? Because it's cool? That's not enough. What can we do? Can we help paralyzed people? Can we put one on a paralyzed guy and he can take classes through a remote location? Nobody's talked about that. All they talk about is how will it make Elder Scrolls more kick-ass. Look, if you want to kill elves or if you want to study algebra, virtual reality can help you. But at the end of the day, convince me, the consumer, that it's necessary and not just some nerdgasm-inducing helmet. And I think, and no one's made that argument yet. I'd like to see that argument. That would be a fascinating TED Talk.
The argument, the convincing, is going to have to be through practice. They can say it's useful for this application. This is how it would work in this instance. But until I think you, Nate Evans, sit down with either a virtual reality helmet or a augmented reality device, until everyone who is skeptical puts it on, you're still going to be skeptical until that day. And who knows? Maybe you'll put it on and you'll say, "This is awful. Why would anyone like this?" And then,
not at all. I'm quite the opposite. I can appreciate the cool factor of it. I don't need to wear a smartwatch to know it's worthless. What I'm saying is that you need to show me something that I haven't seen before. And mapping something to some 3D space is a cool idea, but I want to see how it can be applied in a way that's necessary, that's somehow better than the experience I have right now. I'm not a Luddite. I don't require satisfaction with everything. Look, I just got a bigger monitor. I got a 23-inch monitor and I have a 21-inch monitor. Doesn't make my computer any better. It just makes it bigger. I like it. And I can run two applications at once. It's pretty cool. I can type things while watching a Netflix movie. I like that idea. I like how Roku can let me stream stuff, or I can beam photos to my iPad from my iPod to my TV. That's pretty cool stuff. It's worthless, but it's pretty cool, and that's good enough. But I'll tell you this, Ben. You've driven. How many people do you? How often have you turned around in your car and you saw some person looking at their cell phone while they're driving?
Too many times.
Oh yeah, causes accidents, and they know that they keep doing it. You don't need to convince anybody to stop texting while they're driving. I mean, to drive and text. You need to convince them not to. You can't tear them away. They will die, but they don't care. I haven't seen that type of excitement for VR yet. The idea is good. The idea is wonderful. But going back to that texting thing, do you remember the movie Wall Street when they had Michael Douglas walking on the beach with that giant cell phone?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's how, and look there's nothing less sexy than that giant cell phone. There's nothing about that cell phone that makes you not look like a dork. That is how Oculus Rift and all this virtual reality looks to me right now, like the Michael Douglas cell phone. Until it becomes sexy and stupid, like text messaging cell phone, then we'll talk. But that's what I'm saying. They got a big image problem and a big, big, big usefulness problem.
Well, the thing that impressed Grayson was, they had him standing on the edge of a building, and he was becoming imbalanced when he did that, and he was so impressed with that. But
it's cool. It is very cool. I mean, the idea is, one of my neighbors has Oculus Rift. One of my best friends, a guy I go to the gym with, he loves Oculus Rift. But he loved it before he even bought it. But he's got the Beta 2 machine, not the one Grayson used. Now they have an Oculus. You can slip in a Galaxy Note 4. Google sells a piece of cardboard that you can transmogrify or origami into a virtual reality headset.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm not a Luddite. I don't think it's impossible, but I haven't seen anything that convinces me that people want this stuff. Like, really, I really haven't. I mean, just like 3D. I mean, it's a cool idea, but I haven't seen the implementation.
I think you are probably right. You're going to see the value. The value is going to be much more apparent for augmented reality before it is for virtual reality, because virtual reality, I feel like, is going to be stuck in video games and maybe a few learning applications, but it's mainly going to be video games and entertainment, that kind of deal.
I do want to. Well, I want to bring up one thing real quick before I forget. There is a report that Sharp is going to make some sort of new type of display screen, and I know nothing about it, but apparently it's sort of a physical version of augmented reality, and apparently Nintendo is going to be the first company to use it, and Apple just filed a patent for some sort of touch-free screen and some GoPro-like recording camera. So it wouldn't surprise me if Apple and Nintendo once again lead the innovation march on introducing augmented reality in a way that's more functional and without a helmet. Again, I want to be clear. 3D never caught on until they got rid of the stupid glasses. And so maybe the same thing will happen with augmented reality. Maybe we will have Iron Man computer. But I got to tell you something. Iron Man computer with augmented reality, Siri/Cortana/Jarvis. You can't have an augmented reality computer without a sassy British slave bot. And so that's what I'm waiting for.
That's it. All right, listen, we're at the top of the hour, and we're going to come back. Ben and I are talking to Nathan Evans. He is the managing editor of Popzara magazine. If you want to get in on the action, give us a call, 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. We're going to take a short break. We'll have another News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston coming up. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. We'll be right back in just a few short moments. You're listening to Computer America.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on with our good friend and correspondent, Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine. And in the first hour, we were pretty much talking about Windows 10 and augmented reality and some of the things that we're going to probably see really making their inroads into the consumer market for 2015, and we're going to continue doing that. Again, if you want to give us a call, 347-884-8881. I'll get John to get you through. 347-884-8881. Live at computeramerica.com, our email address, of course, our chat room at computeramerica.com, and our live Computer America video streaming page. That's all at computeramerica.com. So we're continuing on. So Nathan,
One thing. Oh, yeah. So, sorry. Just one thing I want to bring up. I don't know if you were going to deviate or not. There was one more announcement from Microsoft, and that is they are breaking out their Project Spartan as well. I was wondering if you had heard about that.
No more Internet Explorer.
Well, I know what you're talking about. Well, since they're going to name everything after Halo characters, I can't wait to get the what's the big alien bad guy? The Arbiter. I want to see.
There's Arbiter and Gravemind. Yeah.
I want to see the Arbiter email client, but every time you open it up, it just yells at you. But no, but I think Spartan is an interesting idea, but I got to be cautious here because Microsoft is claiming it's going to be the most advanced browser. It's going to be. Come back and tell me when it is, because Internet Explorer was going to be, and it wasn't. So you need to open up support for third-party applications. You need to do this. But one more thing, and no one's talking about this, Ben, legacy. Again, if you go to a truck rental store like U-Haul, you'll notice that they use Internet Explorer. It's because there's apps written for their store that were specifically designed for Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer 6, mind you. So they're still using some crappy old Internet Explorer, and they can't use Firefox or Chrome with it in a lot of cases. A lot of things were built for this, and so that they're weighed down by legacy support. That's why Microsoft keeps this stuff around. So what's going to happen with Spartan? I don't know. I know that Internet Explorer full screen mode on Windows 8 was an atrocity, and it was terrible, and it was even made worse with the fact that Microsoft made the stupidest decision that they've ever made, which was if you want to use it full screen, it has to be your default browser. Why? There was no reason for that, other than they just wanted they wanted to force you to replace Firefox or Chrome. There's no conceivable reason the interface had to be like that, but they made it that way, and it failed. So will Spartan be better? Again, I don't think it's wise to name everything after a rated M violent video game, but who knows? I mean, it could work.
Well, it's just the code name. It's not the final name. So.
Well, they said that about Cortana too.
That's true.
So I mean, like I said though, maybe they'll just call it Windows 10 Master Chief Edition. I mean, that would be actually kind of cool. But
Master
no.
Chief Explorer. One thing though that I did read is that for Enterprise, if you buy the Enterprise version of Windows 10, it comes with whatever version of Microsoft's Internet Explorer that you could possibly need. So it's going to be that's how they're going to conquer their legacy. Is if you need legacy for your enterprise, they're just going to throw in whatever you need on the back end. But Spartan is going to be on the system no matter what.
Again, I don't know. I think you're going to have to convince people to get away from Chrome and Firefox, and for all you 10 people listening out there that have Opera, your browser too, and you're certainly not using Safari. But the fact is that it's a browser war, and Microsoft is so behind. Even though technically I think Internet Explorer is still the most used browser, it's used by default. It's not the browser people go to. It's the browser that people have to get on when they first get their computer because it doesn't have anything else. Remember, Ben, Internet Explorer is the software that got Microsoft sued by the government for antitrust lawsuits. When they pushed it on into the operating system.
That was in Europe though, where they said, hey, you have to use Internet Explorer, and then the Eurozone or whatever governing body over there sued them.
Oh, that was recent. I'm talking 15 years ago in America.
Oh, really?
U.S. government brought Microsoft to task. It was the biggest. Yeah, it was the biggest antitrust lawsuit since AT&T.
Yeah.
And it was because they baked Internet Explorer into Windows 98.
They made it mandatory. You had and that was just anti. I mean, there was monopoly. People were screaming all kinds of things about that. Was that before your time, Ben? You don't remember that? I think you may be too young for that.
Oddly enough, I was 9, so I'm pretty sure I was whipping Star Fox's butt. So
Well, you say hi to Slippy for me. But But no, but the fact of the matter is that Microsoft was never really held to task because the American court system has become so entrenched to these technology companies. They'll never hold Microsoft or Google yet they'll sue Apple over books. I never got that. But anyway, going back to Spartan, we'll see it. We'll see it if it comes out. We'll see what they do. But remember, here's the golden rule about computers. Here's the golden rule. If a company has to tell you it's the most advanced, or they have to tell you it's the best, it's not. It either is, or it isn't. And if the company, if the company has to tell you it is, it's probably not. So we'll see if Spartan is the most advanced web browser in the world. I will tell you one thing though. I use a menagerie of everything. I use Chrome. I use Firefox. I even use Safari once in a while. I don't like the fact that if I'm on Firefox, I can't use Google Apps the way I want to. I can't copy and paste. They've disabled it. I can't use certain features unless I'm using Safari. I don't like these browser-specific things. I need Chrome to do this, and I need to do. There's no reason for that. They're trying to break up the web, and they're trying to claim their own piece. It's like Manifest Destiny back in the United States. I claim this feature for me. Well, you know what? Go ahead and do that. But again, Microsoft's playing catch-up and requiring people to use Spartan. I don't know. Will it be compatible? I imagine Google will disable a lot of features from Spartan to make people not like it. Like you can't use Google Apps the way you should. Who knows?
Well, which browser started? This example. Which one came out first with tabbed browsing? Which one was it? Was that Firefox or?
That's probably Opera.
It was either Opera or Firefox, but I know it might have unofficially been some forked version of Internet Explorer, something like what's that Chinese browser, Maxon or something? Who knows?
Yeah, but I'm saying, but then of course they came out with it. Then everybody else came out with tab browsing. Now every browser has it.
Well, here's a little history for you that a lot of people don't know. When Internet Explorer became the dominant browser, Microsoft disbanded the Internet Explorer team. They didn't need it anymore. There was absolutely no work from Internet Explorer 4 to 6 for years, and so they let all the innovation fall to the other browsers.
Yeah.
And what? I mean, why not? They had Windows. They had their monopoly. Everyone was using Internet Explorer. Netscape had dissolved and became Mozilla. AOL was garbage. They didn't need to innovate until competition. And this is it. Microsoft is now technically they liken themselves to the underdog, but they're an underdog of their own making. They pissed off everybody so much to the point where development stalled on all their operating systems and all their. Isn't that amazing that the Microsoft App Store doesn't have as many apps as a Google Store or an Apple Store when 10 times more people use it? Or how about Internet Explorer? The largest single user base doesn't even have extensions the way Firefox does. It's because no one wants to develop for Microsoft anymore because it's a commercial product. Chrome and Mozilla are open source projects. Yeah, I know Google's an entity, but the browser is still technically open source. So that's they want to develop for it. They want to develop for something that's going to be supported, and Microsoft has shown that they don't support things very much on that. So, will Spartan be any different? I don't know. Again, there's so much we don't know. We know what Microsoft wants us to think, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll try it out. But if they can't win me over, if they can't do what I already do better, then I'm not going to use it. It's just I have work to do. I can't support something because I'm on Team Spartan. I'd be like that guy in the movie 300. I'll kick the browser into the well as I yell, "This is Sparta! Crap!" We'll see. But I'm not that buff though. So I need to buff up it a little bit. So I'll go to the gym.
By the way,
I don't know. Your avatar looks pretty dang buff.
What do you mean avatar? That's my picture. Actually, click on my name. There's a new avatar there.
Really?
By the way, Internet Works was the one that had, which I've never even heard the browser, but evidently had the first tabbed graphic user interface.
Who did?
Internet Works.
I know the company Next, the one that Steve Jobs developed after he was booted from Apple. They actually developed, I know, a lot of the technology that became the first web reader, and I think that became Toolkit or some nerdy description of browsing. You'll have to consult Wikipedia, but no, it doesn't matter who did it first. All that matters is who did it best and who did it most useful. Innovation's a great thing. We all like innovation, but so few of these technology companies are actually willing to innovate. They just want to compete with each other. Like everyone's bringing out smartwatches, everybody's bringing out VR, everybody's doing this. And eventually the idea is that one of them will win King of the Hill, and we'll all settle on the iWatch or Apple Watch, or we'll settle on Chrome, or we'll settle on this. And that's just not how it works. You can't convince people. You need to make it apparent. So again, we'll see. We'll see. Windows 10, big fat question mark. But that should be a fun question mark to unravel, though. I'm excited. I'm on board. I want to see what it's like.
Now, Star Fortress in our chat room says that the best Internet Explorer he ever used was Internet Explorer 3.02. 3.02.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the best hotel I ever stayed in was a mud hut. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're all entitled to our opinions, Star Fortress, but your opinion's wrong. So, no, it's Internet Explorer 3 was okay. It was Internet Explorer before Internet Explorer 4. It was like comparing early Android to early iOS. Netscape was just so much better than Internet Explorer at the time. It was so I actually bought it. Yeah, I know. I bought it on CD-ROM. I paid $50 for Netflix from Netscape. But now you can download it. Because downloading Internet Explorer 4 back in 1997 or 1998 required 14 hours on a dial-up modem.
Yeah.
And then you go to bed. It's like Christmas. You want to wake up with a new internet. Oh, your internet connection broke overnight. You're screwed. So. Yeah, I'm sorry. Internet Explorer 3, those were the dark times.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Anywho, I think that's about all I could think about from the Microsoft press event.
Well, it was an interesting press event. It was a disappointing one for the most part for Microsoft, and I hope that they learn from it. I hope they regroup, and I wish them a very good 2015 with their new CEO. Now that crazy Ballmer's gone off to basketball land. I wish Nadella the best of luck, and so we'll see what happens.
Well, I thought it was pretty good, innovative, new stuff. Can't wait for 2015. Good luck, Microsoft.
Yep. I mean, who doesn't like innovation and cool stuff, right? Who doesn't like it? But at the end of the day, you have to say, well, I spend my money on it. And so with Windows 10, we don't have to, as long as you didn't bootleg your Windows. So,
and there are lots of them out there.
There's more than a few.
Yeah.
Now, what about now we talked a little bit about games, and I know games are really important, but I'm looking at the Popzara website and some of the different stories that you have here, and the games reviews is very interesting. Now, have you and also under tech, a glimpse into tomorrow's tech that was kind of interesting. Any particular topics that I know that are on the Popzara website that you want to talk about?
Maybe about something about the new DirectX 12.
Well, I haven't. I know they say they baked that into the new. Was it baked into Windows 10 build? Is that it?
Yeah.
We'll see about that. If it has, but it's baked, but it's a sleeping giant, like it's Manchurian, so it hasn't come alive yet. And so we'll see how that goes. You might need to talk to a more PC gamer person than myself, but I do know that since you've had Grayson on the show since CES, right?
Yeah. Yes, we did. Yes.
I think he was on. Yeah, and he had a great time. And I want to say one thing: he did a great job. It's an overwhelming show for someone who's never done anything like that before. He stood up like a trooper. He got along great with everyone else. He did a very good job. But stuff like Oculus Rift, he was already on board with that. So he's a nice, enthusiastic fan, and I'm glad he had a chance to do that. But CES is all about the cool stuff we didn't know about, the toaster ovens. And again, Grayson wrote about this quite a bit. If you read the article he wrote on Popzara, crock pots, Nike shoes, drone software, this is the cool stuff. This is the ins and out of the nerdgasms that you have when you buy tech that you just can't buy at Walmart yet. And as far as 2015, half the stuff that they showed at CES, guys, it'll never come out.
Yeah.
It'll never come out. But you can still play with it.
I want the Nike shoes, sneakers. I want those to come.
Oh yeah, the Back to the Future. I mean, who wouldn't want to? Well, technically, I mean, I have Velcro, but I mean, you don't even have to lace them up. They just lace, they lace into your feet for you. I mean, how lazy do you have to be? But they're still cool.
Yeah, and they're still, but they have some. They're not quite like we saw in the movie. The logo that they've done some LED tweaks to them. Which is like they kind of stay on all the time. which is nice. I mean, it actually looks better, but they're very, very close to the movie. What we saw in the movie.
What I want is a self-drying jacket that talks to you in some robotic voice from Speak and Spell. That's what I want. That dries you off. That's cool.
I
But
want the crock pot that hooks up to the internet. That's kind of cool.
the Internet of Things, is that what it's called?
Yes, IoT. That's it.
But one thing that was interesting is that one of the other guys at the show, Corey Gallagher, I'm pronouncing his name right. If he's listening, there you go. You got one. But no, he talked about eye tracking, which is interesting because we talk about virtual reality. But one thing, like we talked quite a bit about this. He had no idea this existed. He's got problems. He can't see out of one of his eyes, so 3D doesn't really work on him. But he made it a mission, and he looked at eye tracking at the show, and he was able to find one company, I think it was called the Eye Tribe, where they managed to get eye tracking and depth perception working with software. And you see, that's interesting to me because it would have never come up for me because I can see 3D. But there's a lot of people who can't, who have degenerative diseases. And if you take it to the next level, you have older people whose eyesight deteriorates and who get all sorts of surgery to correct it, like glaucoma or whatever. But isn't that great? When you see technology enhancing people's lives or has the possibility of enhancing their lives, to me that's interesting. That's the kind of stuff that I wish the tech community would focus more on, is the more humane side of it and how we can make lives better and instead of just cooler. And I think there was a lot of that at CES this year. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. Okay, so I was just looking in the chat room. Jonathan says he just got his phone rooted last night, and I was just asking him what did he modify on it. So I got distracted. It's so distracting. Anyway, so what are we talking now? We're finished up with CES.
Yeah, we kind of touched on CES real quick, and I kind of wanted to go into DirectX 12, which just a quick overview. DirectX 12, it's kind of meant to make graphics more
better.
Yes, the new version of DirectX is supposed to make graphics better, but it's supposed to make them better because right now with console games, think Xbox One, PlayStation 4, you have a set piece of hardware and you know the logistics of it, and that way whatever software you use knows exactly what to do, and there's very, very little overhead. It's every piece of your resource is allocated to a very precise procedure. So with consoles, for the power that you get and the output that you get for the games, between graphics rendering and things like that, it's extremely efficient. It's very, very efficient. But with PC, you could have any number of motherboards, any number of graphics cards, any number of RAM, all this kind of thing. So DirectX 12, they're really taking a whack at making sure that no matter what hardware you have, it's more efficient. It doesn't just have like saying, okay, here's what needs to be done. No matter how much power we have, no matter how many resources we have, just get these done, and then everything else is just wasted. So it's really pulling all the juice out of all your hardware, and what that means is that DirectX 12, if you're already running DirectX 11, you can probably download and use DirectX 12, and then automatically, without even a new graphics card, you're automatically going to see better graphics just by getting this new DirectX.
I don't know. I know a couple things. You brought up all good points, and the memory usage and efficiency versus something like a Frankenstein computer versus a console is very well known. You could write a book on that, and maybe Grayson will, wink wink. But no, I want to take you back to 1991. Back in the days of House Party, the movie, and the first President Bush. So, do you remember the phrase blast processing?
No.
Not personally.
Okay. Blast processing was some bupkis PR media thing that Sega put out to sell the game Sonic the Hedgehog. Just type it, everyone listening, type in blast processing and you'll get a Sonic the Hedgehog commercial. It was the idea that the Sega Genesis at the time had a 7 megahertz processor, and the Super Nintendo only had a 3 megahertz processor. So it talked about allocating all this memory usage to the processor, and therefore the game was going to be speedy. Flash forward to, 2012? Was it 2012? Since Google names everything after food and candy, they had a thing called Project Butter. Now, I know you've heard of that. Project Butter was the blast processing of that year. It's bupkis. It's a media PR thing. They're trying to explain to you what they should be doing anyway. DirectX 10 or 12 or 13, whatever it is, should be more efficient than the one before it. That's the whole point. The whole point is that it always gets more efficient. It should. I mean, what's the alternative? It makes it slower. But the fact is that this is what it should be doing. The problem is, and you make a good point about consoles, this is what I want to get to, is that the synergy between graphics cards and motherboards and CPUs has become such that it becomes difficult for games to work. You see this happen all the time. AMD motherboards are not as supported as they used to be. You know, some things work better with Intel. It's because of the way the programming assembly language is written for it. Now, I know a lot of you nerds out there are going to complain and send me hate mail. You can send it to Ben. You know, sorry, Ben. You could just send it to you. And they always, you know, whenever you bring up the backwards compatibility mumbo jumbo with the consoles, oh, Xbox One can't play Xbox 360 because they're written on a different platform or blah blah blah. All BS. Your Windows machine can play games from every Windows operating system. You can upgrade. Backwards compatibility is possible if they want it to be. They don't want it to be because they want to sell you the stuff you've already purchased. That's why it's there. It's why your Wii U can play Wii games, but your powerful PlayStation 4 can't play a PlayStation 3 game. They don't want you to. And when it comes to this...
Wait. Can I interject something here?
Yes.
And you may very well be correct, but I always thought that it's always good to when a company finally gives up its legacy support for legacy products, because if they continue to support legacy products, it bogs it down to a certain amount of level.
Yes, that was the next point. That was the next point about Windows. Is that Windows is written on such a bogged down kernel, is that they say they can't innovate anymore. They say they have to support legacy, like we talked about with Internet Explorer.
Right.
Who's going to support it? We have to keep. It becomes luggage, basically.
Right. Yeah. So finally, they have to make a decision. Say, we're just going to let it go. If you want, run the older version of the operating system, but we want to make this leaner, faster, meaner. And the only way we do is we have to give up some of this legacy stuff.
But here's the problem.
Apple does that all the time.
Well, Apple does it, but no one cares when Apple does it because their market share is so small. They did that with iWork. Remember, they cut off support for 09 and below. No one gave a peep because no one uses the software. But you remember when Microsoft went from dock to DocX, people tore their hair out of their heads. Oh no, it's the end of the world, it's the apocalypse, right? Because they changed the file format because of legacy. But when you're going from one console to the next, you can make it work. But we're not talking about supporting 5 billion configurations that nerds slap together from Newegg or Micro Center. We're talking one configuration. And by the way, there were plenty of games that were backwards compatible. They took the feature off because they wanted to sell you things. They wanted to resell you God of War, resell you The Last of Us, resell you Grand Theft Auto. Sure, the new versions are better, but they're not worth $50. But anyway, going forward to DirectX. A lot of game makers, they have to allocate resources, Ben, and they have to say, okay, well, we understand it's not going to work optimally on all this, and so they do triaging to make it work. And so what's their benchmark? Their benchmark is usually the latest console. As long as it works competently, we can port the game to the Xbox or PlayStation and actually make some money off the game, and then people will buy the PC version so they can modify it and all this, and they can have fun with it. But as far as DirectX, what I'm concerned about, and what you said something, I don't know if it's true, is that just because they download a software patch will automatically make the graphics better. If it's not customized to that, if the programming language is so radically different that the interaction between a Windows 8 or Windows 7 machine and the new DirectX isn't optimized, it might not work at all. It might actually make things worse. So I don't know. It's still beta software. It's not ready yet. And when it comes to PC game manufacturers, who knows? I mean, like you hit the head on the nail. Very, very good for that. That there's just so many configurations out there. It's a nightmare to have to program for all of them. Especially when a high-end PC will get you cost you $1,500 to $2,000. It's a nightmare. I don't envy PC game makers.
Yeah, because the game makers they either have to target the bulk of the population out there who has a okay, let's say the bulk of gamers out there, they'll have a PC between $400 to $800. That's pretty good mid-range, and then who may play your game, who may enjoy it, and you have to make specs for that. And then there's the high-end gamers who, let's say, 1,000 to 2,000 up, and they're going to have completely different hardware. But it's going to run it even better, and there's an even higher chance that they're going to play your game. They have to make specs for all across the board.
It's always been ironic to me. It's always been the one paradox that the hardcore PC players that have the best machines are the worst gamers. Like they don't play competitively. They don't. All they do is compare frame rates. Oh, I got 4 billion frames per second in Half-Life Part 2. That's all they care about. The competitive gamers are more about absolute performance, which usually means decreased resolution, no latency, keyboard, mouse, all that kind of stuff. They just want to win.
Yep. Well, then again, I mean, comparing your computer specs is a game onto itself.
That's true. That's exactly true. That's exactly true. A friend of mine put that out too. It's like building building a character in an MMO. You're just building your super.
Even that, it's like building a car.
It is. It's like a Motorhead, and
yeah.
But those are not people who play the games. That's the problem. It's the person who can play Skyrim at 4K at 100 billion frames a second with no lag. The only game they're playing on that machine is solitaire. They're not competitively gaming at that point because the advantages you get at that speed are non-reproducible in competitive environments. And that's why when you see game tournaments, it's always consoles, unless you have some top-down game. Then it's But that, let's be fair. Look at every top-down game out there. They all look like Super Nintendo games anyway. They all look like pixels. So you don't really need a high-end machine to run a Super Nintendo. So it's interesting, but it's bleeding-edge stuff. But if anybody listening, if you ever want to know why a console that on paper has specs that are about 3 years old can still graphically outperform your $4,000 gaming PC, it's because it's so specialized and the programmers know the machine, they know the tricks so well that they can make magic happen with less. They only have to program for one machine and they can really get the most out of it.
Yeah, that's because they had to. I mean, they.
Yep. That's why consoles always outperform PCs at the beginning, and that's not likely to change. Especially when you have what Sony announced at CES that they have 20 million PlayStation 4s sold. 20 million. That's outrageous. And that's 20 million potential consoles that one developer only has to develop for. One SKU, one configuration. That game is going to look and play better than any PC version because more people can experience it. And that's not to say that the consoles are better. It's not to say that, of course, but it's to say it's more stable and it's more fluid. And that's.
Well, why do I always hear Gray saying that the games though on the PC are always are far superior to what you can get on a console?
Oh, because he's wrong. So it's not that of course there's some versions you can buy, but Ben, back me up on this. You are not going to buy a gaming PC that's going to give you the performance of a PlayStation for $400. It's just not going to happen. In fact, you can't do it because they don't even sell some of the parts. The PlayStation 4 has DDR4 RAM. They don't even sell that commercially for a lot of places.
Well, you're agreeing with him.
Yeah, for sure.
For the price, you can't match it.
All right, listen, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to continue on. Nathan Evans, managing editor, Popzara magazine, continues on with us. This is the Computer America Show on the Talk Radio Network, the IRN Radio Network, and the Boost Radio Network. Stay with us. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MyTV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MyTV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
You're just in time. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the GE Jasco Wireless Home Camera Monitor. Now, the GE Jasco 2.4 gigahertz wireless color digital home monitoring kit allows one-way color video and two-way audio communication between a small and nimble camera and a 3.5-inch LCD monitor. The color camera can plug in through a wall wart or use 4 AA cells for power. It includes a motion detector, a temperature sensor, a mic, a speaker, and night vision to 20 feet in black and white. The monitor has a docking easel stand that keeps its battery charged, displays the camera video plus date, time, and temperature, allows talkback to the camera, remotely turns the camera's night light on or off, and can even play stored lullaby tunes through the camera's speaker. The camera can also manually or automatically record to a micro SD card, which is not included, and it records that at the monitor. For working at home, it's a way to keep an eye on the infants. At home or in the office, it's a way to keep an eye on the doorstep or lobby or for incoming deliveries. Bottom line, the GE Jasco Wireless Home Camera Monitor extends your hearing and vision to useful places in useful ways. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour. Nate Evans is closing out the show here with us. We've talked about everything from Windows 10 to the new Xbox, HoloLens, lots and lots of things. And in this last half hour, we're going to go wherever the topics please us. But one thing I just kind of want to say, first off, folks, if you're affected by the blizzard, hopefully you, Nate Evans, are not, I assume.
Very high and dry in a 60-degree Kansas weather, so no.
Even better. Okay, so but yeah, there's a huge blizzard hitting the Northeast. Lots and lots of snow. I actually had a friend send me a picture. It was 3 to 4 feet where she was. Crazy, crazy amounts of snow. So hopefully you still have power, all that good stuff, power, heat. Ways to entertain yourself while civilization itself has come to a standstill.
Yes, yes. Stay home and tinker with your PC and do not go outside.
That's right.
Exactly.
Make sure you have an uninterruptible power supply.
Yes, get 60 frames a second in Minecraft. Just don't go outside.
And then the next thing I wanted to say was, Craig, I know it's not, I know am not. Nate, are you in any way a football fan?
Are you talking about American football or soccer?
American football.
Well, I do enjoy the stories about deflated balls, but and the Janet Jackson nipplegate.
Yes, so you like the pop culture around football. See, we aren't big football fanatics either, but the Super Bowl is coming up February 1st.
Yes.
So, I know, and that's just a big thing. I Googled when the Super Bowl was because that's what I do as a tech person. I have no idea when it is, of course. It's going to be February 1st, 3:30 p.m., NBC, Patriots and Seahawks. But I also found the first news story related to this was a GoDaddy commercial. Keep an eye out for it. It is heartbreaking.
Is it Danica Patrick showing her ample assets again?
It is Danica Patrick, but no, it's actually heartbreaking. It's a lost puppy who finally finds his way home after rain, snow. He falls out of the back of a truck, finds his way home through all these adversities. He finally gets home. It's a little golden retriever puppy, and you're like, oh yeah, he finally made it home. And then twist ending, they ship him out in a van to be because he got sold by a site on GoDaddy that was created using GoDaddy. He was sold online, and they shipped him out. So it's I know it was so sad. So keep an eye out for that one. A lot of people are apparently getting mad over essentially fake, but
Well,
so
you know
sad.
what? You know what? I'm done with these McLaughlin commercials. If anybody doesn't know what those are, it's been after Sarah McLaughlin. You know the commercial, and I know you do, Craig, because we do this on Computer America. You have sad music playing with pictures of sad animals
Arms
looking
of
at the
an Angel.
camera. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Arms of an Angel, and you know what? You fall in love with every one of those things, and you want to take them all home. Thank you, Sarah McLaughlin.
hmm
Yep. I'm crying. You know what? I'm going to go to the Humane Society tomorrow.
I know.
Oh.
I just remembered actually. Before the show, you actually mentioned that you wanted to get your cause out because right now, let's be honest, we have a little bit of time.
Oh yeah.
You know, we don't have a caller and we really don't have a topic. So what's your cause?
Well, like any good responsible journalist, I do have my causes, and I like to push in your face, you know. And I think I haven't pushed any causes in your face for a while, so I think it might be a good idea to sort of, to sort of do that sort of thing because I respect you as a person, so I'm going to push my goals. No, but I want to say real quick before I do that, the chat room had a fun discussion. We were talking about computers, and I guess DDR4 is available at Newegg. Thank you, Star Fortress or Star Lord or whatever your name is. If I called you Star Lord, it's a compliment. But we talked, and I said, I was making a joke with him about mouse pads, and the fact is they do have advanced mouse pads. And I posted a link that for a product that was sent to Popzara. I don't know if we're going to get a review sample, but the company is FUNC. I like to think of it as Funk because that's just pretty cool. And they have advanced mouse pads. And so if you need an advanced mouse pad, the latest in mouse pad technology, check out the chat room, and you'll see advanced mouse pad technology. So, the world keeps moving. No, I want to bring up a little cause because it's a near and dear to my heart. I was lucky enough to get an interview with a very nice gentleman by the name of Josh Elder, and he writes comic books, and he writes comic books for video game companies, for manga companies. He's in Japan. I think he's still there. And we had a very nice interview. It went wonderful. It was groundbreaking. It would have enlightened you. It would have been amazing. But, of course, it didn't get recorded. So we had to try again. And the second one, not quite as good as the first one, but still pretty awesome. And I was holding back for the right time, and it was published today. Josh Elder was also the creator of a company called, was it Words with Pictures? I think it was called. Let me make sure I get this right because my mind is killing me today. But no, he Reading with Pictures, and it's a program that he does to help promote literacy in schools using comics. And it's a very good program. And if anybody's interested, please visit the website, listen to the podcast, and then if you want to do something, follow the necessary links. Can't really hyperlink in an audio, so you'll have to type it out yourself. But no, it's an interesting cause, and I'm a big champion of literacy in schools. I'm a big champion of literacy at home, and I'm a big champion of literacy because that means you can read the website. Because if you can't read it, you can just look at the pretty pictures. And we do have a lot of pictures. So if you want to, so check it out.
One thing that kind of happened to us was we were actually out to dinner with a couple friends. One of them being a member of the whatever. It's like school board, but it's like higher up for the entire state of Florida. And she was talking about literacy in high school was actually pretty low, and the ways of getting it higher. And one of the ways that they were doing it, and this was a couple years ago actually, where they were stocking more manga books, manga and comics in general, into libraries, because one of the biggest turnoffs is when, let's say you are completely literate, you can read any book you want. Whenever you read a book, you read the text and then you form a picture and or a movie in your mind. You read what's in front of you, and then you get like a little picture and movie in your mind telling you what's going on, and you can visualize it in your head. That's what reading is. a lot of people who are illiterate or learning to read for the first time, they can read the words, but there's no pictures associated with them in their mind. That it just doesn't make a connection. So they can read it, but then they don't retain it because they were just reading the words and they weren't actually thinking about what the words mean. So that's where comic books, that's where manga, that's where that kind of thing, it forms the picture for you, and it lets you latch onto the concepts much easier. And this was something that Florida at least was actively investigating 5-6 years ago.
Makes sense. It makes sense that the human brain associates shapes and patterns with literacy and word retention. I mean, look at Asian pictographs from, we look at script from Chinese. A lot of it at some point a long time ago, it resembled the object what it was before they transmogrified into strokes. And when that doesn't become efficient like it did in Japan, they created a phonetic alphabet. But when it comes to pictures, the fact of the matter is that this country has a great history of using comics to teach, especially during World War II, especially during the 60s. But like gaming, it became there became this delusional and irrational hatred of them because they thought of corruption. Thank you, 1950s. But and rock and roll was the devil. But we're still going to dance. But no, look, common sense eventually overwhelms stupidity. And in America, we are an amazing country with a pathetic literacy rate. I think it hovers in the 60s. In Japan, where Joshua has talked about, Josh Elder, he was in Japan. That country has a 99% literacy rate. Now, of course, there's reasons for that. There's all kinds of other reasons, social and cultural, but they love comic books, and you see people reading all the time. It's not frowned upon, and there's such a variety of stuff available. And I could put a joke about how unimaginative Japanese manga is, but the fact is there is a lot of variety there. And anything we can do to encourage children to be reading, to become reading adults, because what it does, it allows that when you teach someone to read, you give them the gift of knowledge through literacy, they can go out and read their own things. They can go out and read their own sources. They can go out and read their own histories. They're not stuck with just movies. I don't want to get off movies real quick, but there were 2 movies that came out last year, both nominated for Best Picture, that skew history. There was Selma, about Martin Luther King and Selma, and there was American Sniper. I've seen both fine movies, deeply flawed, but are historically laughable. Both play fast and loose. But as our children absorb everything through movies, if it's not a movie, it doesn't exist. But I also see things, all this young adult fiction like Maze Runner and Hunger Games and Harry Potter, and these books sell in the millions. But then again, so does 50 Shades of Grey. But the fact of the matter is that if people are learning literacy and they're learning to read, that's a good thing. And anything we can do to promote that, we should be promoting and not discouraging.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, our chat room moderator / Twitter operator, he actually offered that if you wanted to send out a tweet, promoting reading with pictures for those of you who may forget it or just follow us on Twitter and want an easy link to it, we recommend that you do that, and we'll retweet it out to our audience as well.
Oh, cool. Nice little social viral thing going on there.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, great cause. Computer America, we're for pets, you're for reading, we're all for a better world.
I'm for reading. I'm for teaching animals how to read too. Literacy for cats and dogs.
So hard though. So you got to teach them English first, and they're awful at that.
Well, our dog speaks, but we have a dog that talks. Easy.
That's it.
Did anybody ever see the movie Scrooged with Bill Murray?
No. It's on Netflix now.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix. It's one of Bill Murray's best. I love that movie. It's a retelling of Ebenezer Scrooge, where he's a TV exec.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yes.
And,
yeah.
And there's a scene when his crazy boss comes in. He says, "You know what? The fastest growing audience is cats." And so he instructs all his TV people to start putting like mice in the videos and wiggling strings and yeah, they watch TV. It's funny. There's a market for everything.
Evidently.
Yep. Oh, and one more piece of movie news. I don't know if this is important. This is the most important news of 2015, is that they finally have picked the cast for the new Ghostbusters movie. It's happening.
I saw that. Yes, right. But is it a reboot? Is it a reboot or is it a continuation?
Don't know, but it could be a reboot-quel. There's that word again.
I hate reboot. Why
Yeah.
are they doing that? I mean, they did it right the first time. I mean, I would rather just see, continue the story or something.
Well, it's funny. Right before the show, I was watching something on YouTube. As you've heard of the Honest Trailers series?
Yes.
If everybody watching this should go watch the Honest Trailer for the original RoboCop. It's the best. It's the best thing they've ever done. They basically say this movie is awesome, this movie's great, there's no reason to remake it, because they always water it down. And look, I like Bridesmaids, I like the director Paul Feig, I actually like Melissa McCartney and Kristen Wiig, whatever her name is. But the fact of the matter is that the original Ghostbusters, and I'm not saying this as a child of the 80s, the original Ghostbusters is a perfect movie. Perfect. And the second movie, not so much, but still fun. But the original Ghostbusters is a perfect film. It is a lightning in a bottle. I hope to goodness they don't have the bad sense to remake it. If they're going to do something, just further it, but don't touch the original. Just leave it alone.
Well, with RoboCop, they
is this the one
rebooted
that they were? Real quick, is this the one that they're casting the whole female? Yeah. Who's? I think Bill Murray was actually supposed to come on as a consultant for that one.
Well, Bill Murray might actually be in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean.
Oh yeah, for sure that too. But I mean, like writing it, he's actually supposed to be helping.
Well, Dan Aykroyd has been pretty prolific in this and talking for 20 years about them doing this. Dan Aykroyd's also been telling people there's going to be a sequel to My Girl. That's not going to happen. So Harold Ramis has passed away. Nobody knows where Ernie Hudson's gone to. Bill Murray has become Bill Murray. Mm-hmm. And Dan Aykroyd has been going into voiceover work, and he's been pretty good at it. I would say either reboot it and start over, just don't touch the original, or if they're going to graft this onto the original. But I will say one thing. I like the cast, what I've seen, but is it still 3 white people and 1 black person?
Yeah.
I mean, in this day and age, at least put the new black girl on the cover of the movie. If you go look at the covers for Ghostbusters, the first movie and even the second, it's just Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, and Bill Murray. Poor Ernie Hudson. He doesn't even get to be on the cover of either movie. How sad. But no, I mean, I like Melissa McCartney. Of course she was going to be in it, absolutely, and of course Kristen Wiig, because they were in Bridesmaids. So we'll see. I'll give it a chance. I would like another Ghostbusters movie. I really would have. I would have liked it more if Harold Ramis had lived. But Bill Murray was perfect. It's the best performance he's ever given. I love Ghostbusters. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen Bill Murray in a number of his later movies, and still,
he's pretty great.
Yeah, he is.
I want to recommend to anybody listening, seek out the movie St. Vincent. And it just came out last year. It's where Bill Murray plays a curmudgeon who has to help. Ironically, Melissa McCartney's in it. She plays a single mom, and he has to help her out with her kid, but he's kind of a butthole. And it was a great performance, a great movie. It's predictable. It's you know what's going to happen, but it's Bill Murray, and so you can't lose.
Yeah. What was the one he did also? He was an actor who went to Japan and.
Oh yes. Oh, one of my favorite movies, Lost in Translation.
Lost in Translation. That was a sleeper, but it had a great cast and.
He was nominated for Best Actor. He lost. I forget who he lost to, but no, that was a great movie. That movie hit me at a very special time. I was studying Japanese at the time anyway. But no, it's Bill Murray in Japan and with a great soundtrack by Air. Sofia Coppola. Great director, great movie.
Yeah, that was very, very good. And is it the great cast? What was it? Her
a pre-sexualized Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, exactly.
Before she became a sex object.
Yeah, and her husband was played by he's also a very good actor.
I know you're talking about. Was it Giovanni Ribisi?
Ribisi, yeah, exactly, yeah. I always had difficulty pronouncing his name, but
he was in Selma as a bald.
He was in Avatar. He was the boss, the bad guy boss.
And he was in that awful, awful, awful movie, A Million Ways to Die in the West.
And he was in Ted. I mean,
he's a good actor. I like him.
Yeah, great.
But no, there should be a bunch of fun movies coming out. 2015 is going to be an epic year for movies.
Okay. Jupiter Rising? That looks intriguing.
I don't know. I tatting with elf ears, so I don't. And Mila Kunis, but no, I don't know. I think I'm getting kind of burned out on the Marvel movies. I really am. I'm getting burned out on having to see 20 movies so I can understand the 21st movie.
Is that a Marvel? That's not a Marvel movie though. Jupiter Rising. It's not a Marvel.
Oh, I know. It's a Wachowski, so it's going to have some good special effects and.
Yeah, that's from the Matrix brothers.
Yep. We don't say brothers anymore because one of them has transitioned into a woman, so it's the Wachowskis now. I think or siblings, or I don't know. They let them figure it out first. Exactly. But they also made Speed Racer, which was terrible. And I actually like Cloud Atlas a little bit. I know nobody liked that movie, and it's not a great movie, but
that didn't never grab me that much. I mean, I've watched it a number of times and still couldn't really get into it.
Oh no, it was impenetrable. You know that. Yeah, but I liked it for what it was. I like ambitious movies that are failures. And if anybody's listening, the most ambitious.
You would have loved Waterworld then.
Oh, I love Waterworld. I even loved The Postman. Now that movie was all sorts of bad, but I loved it. And I recommend the most impenetrable good bad movie of all time was Terry Gilliam's The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. I defy you to find a more confusing film, but it's I love it. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there.
Time Bandits was good too. I like Time Bandits.
Oh yeah, I mean, where else are you going to see time traveling midgets?
Exactly.
But no,
with Sean Connery, no less, exactly.
Oh man, what's that movie with him in a Speedo? God, what was it?
Zardoz.
We'll never let it go. But no, I mean, going into summertime, there's going to be a bunch of stuff. I also heard an interesting rumor that the new Mission Impossible movie, which was supposed to come out, Mission Impossible 5, which was supposed to come out in December, got scared of Star Wars because Star Wars comes out this year, and it's now been bumped to July. And you see, that's interesting. Remember, your Jupiter Rising Elf movie was moved from summer to February, so that's usually not a good sign. But when a movie is moved from Christmas to July, that's usually a sign of confidence. And the last Tom Cruise summer movie didn't do so well at the box office at first, which was, of course, what was that? I love the movie. It was
the sci-fi movie. It's like Groundhog Day over and over again.
Yes, Kill, Die, Repeat. Yeah, and Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. I enjoyed that. That was with Emily Blunt. That was very good.
Nobody saw it, and then when they finally saw it, Craig, they loved it. That's the thing. I think there's some goodwill there for Tom Cruise, and I think everyone liked Mission Impossible 4, and so Mission Impossible 5 coming out. There's a video of him, crawling over an airplane as it's actually flying. So it becomes which Mission Impossible movie will be the one where Tom Cruise dies filming, because his stunts keep getting more and more elaborate.
Wait, but that's got to be mostly CGI now.
No,
right?
That's the thing. I mean, did you see Mission Impossible 4?
Yeah, it was so.
No.
Great. It's on Netflix. Amazing film. And
he's on a building, right? And he climbs and everything. That's all mostly CGI.
No, that's him on the building. They filmed him on the giant building in Saudi Arabia, and now they filmed him on an airplane. They made a big deal about it. They made a big stink about the building, and so it's pretty big. Look, he earns his look. Say what you will about Tom Cruise, he might be a little crazy, but the man shows up and he does his job. So
I thought that was all CGI.
Isn't that amazing?
Because you can do it now. You really can.
You think that just the same thing with Jackie Chan and a lot of his stuff. I mean, these guys will go out on a limb and do their job.
The fact is, if you do it in real life, it looks different, And I miss Jackie Chan movies. I really do. Speaking of Jackie Chan movies, while I'm talking to, I'm going to serendipitously type something in Google so I sound like I know what I'm talking about. But there is a movie that came out in China last year. And if anybody wants to end the show on a high note, I implore them to go watch the trailer for the movie Dragon Blade.
Okay.
I cannot believe this movie was made. I haven't seen it, but I want to. I want to see this movie more than I want to see Star Wars.
Really?
It is a revisionist history. It's the most expensive movie ever made in China. And it's a Chinese Mandarin language film starring Jackie Chan with a lot of makeup and John Cusack and Adrian Brody in a revisionist history where what would have happened if China fought Rome. And it looks...
That sounds amazing.
It looks ridiculous. It looks awful. And of course I want to see it. It looks amazing. So go watch the trailer for Dragon Blade. and
is it along the lines of like Hero? You know that they're visually stunning. The movie.
No. It here you're talking about those Zhang Zimu movies that look
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
No, this movie looks like Pearl Harbor, and it just looks like a big CG mess where lots of armies are running at each other. You know, like that kind of movie, like Braveheart meets Armageddon, but the dialogue is terrible. It's terrible, and I want to see it so badly because you can watch a good movie you're supposed to like. Like I just saw American Sniper, and I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was
like that. They say they say he was good in that role. Yeah.
Oh, Bradley Cooper's a great. I mean, think about it. Bradley Cooper's nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor. Bradley Cooper also played a machine gun-toting, wisecracking raccoon this year. How many Best Actor nominees can say that?
Yeah, that's very true. I really liked him in Limitless.
I liked that movie so much I read the book. You know, and but no, American Sniper, decent movie. Selma, decent movie. But these aren't great movies that bind you, and their flaws ruin the experience. But in a movie like this movie, like Dragon Blade, there's no way you're going to come out liking it less. Your esteem can only go up. You know, and I like that. There's something to be said about watching a very good bad movie, like Troll 2, you know, or so much other crap that you would never pay to watch.
I saw Troll. I didn't see it in the movie theaters. I did see Troll.
Troll was a great. If anybody isn't listening, Troll was a great film. I love Troll, and the hero's name in that was Harry Potter, by the way.
It looks so real too. I don't know how that they if that was CGI, obviously it was. I mean they.
Wait, are we talking? Are we talking about the same Troll movie?
Wasn't Troll 2 voted the worst movie in history?
Well, Troll was like they were it was not in English. It was like Norwegian.
Oh, you're talking about Troll Hunter.
Troll Hunter, yeah, okay.
Troll Hunter was great too, but no. Troll was about this building in like New York, and it's apparently this troll is coming after, and he sticks you with his little ring, and if he sticks you with the ring, you turn into a cocoon, and your cocoon bursts open. And
I remember that. It was a horror one. I saw that.
Oh yeah, and your apartment becomes a universe, and it's a great film. A great film, and the witch turns into a mushroom at the end. Yeah. But no, Troll 2 had nothing to do with Troll 1. They just slapped the name on it, which is funny because it's not even about trolls. It's about goblins, and everything about the movie's terrible. Everything about the movies. I've seen porn with better acting. The special effects look like there are no special effects. Just type in Troll 2 and watch the clips. Don't even see the movie. It's awful. It's terrible. It's not the worst movie ever made, though. There's worse movies, but it's pretty close.
Well, Nathan, listen. I got to tell you, this as always. It's always a fun show with you.
90 seconds.
But we're basically out of time, and I want to thank you so much for being here with us. Stay with us to the end, of course. Tomorrow night, we're going to open with computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. And then in hour 2, we're going to have our good buddy Dick DiBartolo, better known as the Giz Wiz, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. And he always has fun stuff
60
to
seconds.
talk about. And so that's all tomorrow night. And then just remember to make sure that you're entered into all of our Computer America contests. Just go to under our Interact menu and enter the contest. Check them all out. Enter in all of them. They're all free and they're all private. We give your information out to no one, So you'll enter in them all. You'll have a good time doing it, and who knows, you might win something really, really nice. So again, that about wraps up. Again, thanks Nathan for being with us here on the show, and Ben and I will see you tomorrow night. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right. Well, again, thanks everybody for watching us here on our live Computer America video stream. And Nate, again, thanks for being with us here tonight.
No problem. Thanks for having me yet again.
Yeah, okay. Always a pleasure. And we'll see you all tomorrow night. Bye-bye, everybody.
Night.
Good night.